This story is so absolutely bonkers crazy that I had a really hard time believing it was even true. You might be thinking, nah, they didn't say that. No way they said that. No way they're planning on doing that. But, well, I've done some research. It is true. It is absolutely mental, but it is 100% true. Hello, my friends, and welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. My name's Sam Evans. Love to see you at Fully Charged live in Sydney or Fully Charged in London in April, and then again Fully Charged in San Diego, in Los Angeles in October of this year. If you want to get tickets for Sydney, you can get a 10% discount on your tickets. I make nothing out of that, by the way. The code to get that discount is in the description here. Now, if you want to hear about my recent GoFundMe campaign, by the way, thank you so much to all of you for helping with that. It's been an amazing assistance to my wife with her cancer battle. But if you want to know more about that, I'll put a link in the description below. Renault, their CEO, I'm just going to get straight to it. Their Renault CEO says that the combustion engine, gasoline-powered vehicles have decades to go before they even come close to being irrelevant. He says that in 2040, 50% of car sales worldwide will be gasoline in 2040. So he's saying in 17 years from now, 50% of all car sales will be gasoline powered, and that will continue for who knows how long. Where he said decades to come. And this is one of many statements coming from Renault. And in fact, unfortunately, Renault and Geely have decided to make this insane partnership where they're planning on having 17 new factories building internal combustion engine vehicles. They're investing hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars into gasoline powered cars from now. Not like previous, things that are just carryovers. From now, they say the reason for this is because people in the Middle East, in Africa, and in China will want gasoline-powered cars en masse in 2040. And there will be no alternative for them because EVs won't be cheap in 2040. Yeah. Now, there is an onslaught of cheap EVs coming this year to Australia. None by Renault. Lots from other companies, though. There is an onslaught of cheap EVs coming to Europe this year by Chinese manufacturers. Not by Renault, but they are coming. Now, obviously, the Renault CEO claims that there are no affordable EVs. That's what he says. He says because the Renault Megane E-Tech, which is Renault's electric car, which is coming to Australia, because that is $75,000, therefore there are no reasonably priced EVs. And he said there is no evidence that there will be any reasonably priced EVs anytime soon. Interesting, isn't it? I mean, the CEO of Renault doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that they own the company called Dacia, who make the cheapest EV in Europe. It costs 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros for the Dacia Spring. That's a pretty affordable EV, especially in comparison to the Renault Megane E-Tech here in Australia, which costs 75,000, which is what, like 55,000 euros. Strange. So here's the full story as reported by a car expert. I'll put a few things in here from me and I'll share with you some of what their reporting says as well. Renault will continue its investment into internal combustion engine vehicles because it believes there are many millions of customers wanting to buy gasoline-powered vehicles in 2040 in Africa and China and the Middle East. Now, I've got to interrupt here and just say, China. I mean, you all know China is converting to electric cars at an incredible pace, right? I mean, in December of last year, 40% of all cars sold in China were fully electric. For the entire year of last year, it was nearly 30%. By 2030, China will be one and done. It's basically game over. I mean, look at China. There's an EV that came out yesterday, which is as big as a Toyota Corolla. It costs $7,000 and it's got 400 kilometers of range. It's game over. Just because Renault, Toyota, everyone else got left behind in terms of legacy automakers doesn't mean that there are another 100 EV manufacturers or multitude of EV companies or just normal branded car companies in China that have been around for decades who are making EVs and making them affordably. China doesn't want your crappy gas-powered cars in 2040. That is utterly ludicrous. Now, the thing is, if China was interested, this game plan may have actually worked. It might have, because China is what? 1/3 of the entire car market globally is China. Yeah. So that would have been relevant. But seeing as China won't be interested, there's just zero chance of that happening. This plan is ballistically stupid because why? You know how many vehicles, period, are sold in the Middle East and Africa every year? That represents about 3% of global car sales. 3%. In other words, Renault is saying, we're going to be in position to be making 5 million. This is the figure they gave. 5 million cars a year in 2040 that are gasoline powered because the Middle East and Africa want to buy them. They don't even buy that many cars a year, period, now. They're basically saying, we're going to own the market. Now, the thing is, Renault and Geely are going one step further than that. They're actually saying they're going to be making gasoline-powered vehicles for other companies as a contract manufacturer. That's what they say for OEMs. Who exactly is going to buy contract manufacturing gasoline-powered vehicles in 2040? I mean, this is what they really believe. It's the stuff of insanity. Now, the irony of all of this is, right, Renault have broken their business down into different divisions. The internal combustion engine division, gasoline powered division, it's called Horse. I mean, you can't make this up. It's called Horse. Horse and car, yeah, obviously. Now, the other division is called Ampere, Alpine, and Mobilize. And they have a recycling business called Neutral. Renault's planning on developing fossil fuel powered vehicles for the next decade. Ampere, that's electric vehicles. Alpine is their performance brand. And the Horse division is their internal combustion engine division. Renault Australia boss Glenn Seely told Car Expert that electric vehicles have a long way to go before they are actually affordable. The way we look at it, we see an ICE, we see an electric Renault, and we see LCV Renault, and we also have Alpine. So the internal combustion engine vehicles will consist today of Koleos, Captur, Advana, etc., etc. But we would like to add new gasoline-powered cars to our Horse projects. In other words, they've got new projects on the horizon which are going to be gasoline-powered specific vehicles. Then there are EV Renaults that are more expensive. That's $75,000 for the Renault Megane E-Tech Electric. That's a quote from Renault, by the way. That notion that EVs will get cheaper, I haven't seen it yet at all. He goes on, the reason we want to keep internal combustion engines as well as develop EVs is that mobility is still available. For a person that lives in a small unit and can't charge their EV and can only afford $35,000, are they going to walk to work? They need mobility, or else they are forced into really old used cars. Kinds of extremes here are so bizarre. If they live in an apartment, their only choice, according to Renault, is to buy a really old used car. That's the only way you can get to work, according to Renault's CEO, is by buying a really old used car. That's your only choice right now. It's either a really old used car or Renault will save the day and offer you an affordable gasoline-powered car. The internal combustion vehicles will also suit developing markets in Africa, China, and the Middle East. Well, sorry to say, guys, but China is the opposite to a developing market. I mean, this is just crazy. There's more than 100 electric car companies in China. That's not a developing car market. That's a market disrupting the rest of the world. There is no getting around the fact that an EV is much more expensive than an ICE. And there is still a need for people at the lower end to have mobility. So we think that's important, said Mr. Seely. He's saving us all. Thank you so much, Mr. Seely. In saying that, the future of cars could change. Renault just don't have any idea in which direction. Now, Renault is saying that they're actually going to start using Geely platforms, though. The company is testing its first Geely-based model, which is an internal combustion engine model, late next year. And the Chinese automaker's acquisition of a third of Renault Korea Motors means that now Renault will start using Geely platforms, basically Geely cars, rebadging them and selling them as a Renault. Renault and Geely's agreement, though, goes way beyond just platform sharing. Renault's combustion and hybrid powertrain manufacturing will be part of a joint venture in which both it and Geely will have a 50% equity stake. So essentially, Renault and Geely have created a joint venture to make gasoline-powered cars. Seriously. And they think these new gasoline-powered cars are going to be so great that everyone else is going to want to buy them. And I don't just mean customers, I mean other car brands. Isn't it? Can you believe this? Really? Yeah. The framework agreement is expected to be made formal in 2023, and the joint venture will also supply powertrains to Renault's alliance partners, Nissan and Mitsubishi. So Nissan and Mitsubishi are going to line up for these new Renault and Geely developed internal combustion engine platforms. Renault and Geely estimate that with their combined product portfolio and regional footprint, their joint venture could offer solutions for 80% of the global internal combustion engine market. In other words, Renault and Geely believe they will own 80% of the internal combustion engine market worldwide. Or, somewhere around that figure. Renault and Geely have plans for 17 powertrain plants spread across 3 continents, staffed by a total of 19,000 people. This new company will have a total production capacity of over 5 million internal combustion, hybrid, and plug-in hybrid powertrains and transmissions every year. In other words, they are building out the factories, the ability to build 5 million, primarily gasoline, but plug-in hybrid, doesn't matter, hybrid, gasoline-powered vehicles per year. That's in addition to their current production. ICE and hybrid engine technologies will remain a critical part of the automotive supply chain for decades to come, they said. We'll be able to offer the best-in-class powertrain and electrified solutions to multiple OEM brands worldwide. So clearly that's their strategy. Sell these amazing new gasoline-powered cars to all these manufacturers who will be lining up to buy them. Unleashing the market potential for this low emissions technology is what they plan on doing, said Renault CEO Luca De Meo. Renault says internal combustion and hybrid vehicles will represent 50% of the passenger car sales worldwide in 2040. How do you say stranded assets in French? In regards to the comments about developing markets, the entire continent of Africa buys about 1 million cars a year. That's about 1.5% of global vehicle sales every year. Now, good luck winning EV market share in the major markets like China, the United States, and Europe, who represent about 75 to 80% of global car sales, when half of your resources are going to cater for less than 20% of the market. Renault and it seems Geely are really going all in on gasoline-powered cars. That's where their resources appear to be going. Speaking of China, it's now overtaken Germany to become the world's second largest exporter of vehicles. Basically what's happening right here is that China is disrupting Renault, disrupting Japanese automakers Nissan, along with Tesla, of course, who are disrupting the rest of the global marketplace. It's happening right before our eyes. And the competition is in denial because they don't even realize it's happening. Let me know your thoughts and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.